Hello, class. I'm so excited to go on our field trip today. We're going to travel all around the world and discover different geography and how they influence the community around them. So, let's get started. The first place we're going to go is the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is in the Middle East and it's around the countries Israel and Jordan. So, looking at it first, what can we already tell? Does it look really green and pretty and lush? No, it looks really brown, right? Does it look like there's lots of houses and people living around? I don't think so. It kind of looks deserted, right? Does anyone live there? Would you want to live in a brown desert? That's a good question, right? This is the Dead Sea right here, and it kind of looks white. Why do you think it would look white? The Dead Sea is full of salt. It's the saltiest body of water. And compared to the ocean, that if you've ever been to the ocean, you've gotten it in your mouth and it's kind of been salty and you get it in your eyes and it stings. Well, the ocean is 4% salt, but the Dead Sea is 30% salt, so it's very, very salty. We're going to look at right here. You can see the water, it washes up on the rocks and creates these salt crystals. This is a big part of Israel and Jordan's economy. They use the salt and they ship it out all over the world, and people use it for remedies for arthritis when their body hurts. They use this salt to help get their money. Another thing that the salt does is it causes people to actually float on the water. So when you're in the Dead Sea, you can't sink because the salt makes your body not have any weight. So look, this picture shows a man reading the newspaper and just floating right on top of the water. And you can kind of see the mountains in the background too. So it's not a very flat place, but it's very mountainous and dry and in a desert. In contrast, the next place we're going to go is all the way back in the United States. We're going to fly over there, fly over the ocean, and come down to Seattle, Washington. This is in the very, very corner, top left corner of the United States. And already we can tell major differences between this and the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea was brown, didn't have anybody living there, and the water was white. But here we can see the water is blue, and look how many people are living here. There's so many houses and buildings, and it's a full city with roads and airports and everything. And the land around it is all really green. This is because it rains so much in Seattle. So much. In fact, let's look at this website. It will tell us how much it rains. It says, Seattle rain trivia. How many days of rain does Seattle get in a year? It says about 150 days of rain. And then they only get about 58 days of sun. And then 37 inches of rainfall. So that's about 3 feet of water that they get every year. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water compared to what the Dead Sea had too. Because they were all brown and dry over there, but Seattle is green and lush. The Dead Sea was a really, really hot place, but Seattle, because it rains so much, is probably a lot cooler and colder, and people need to wear jackets. Kind of like where we live, right? Well, the next place we're going to fly to, everybody hop in to our airplane, and we're going to fly to Switzerland. Whew, we made it. already we can tell Switzerland has a very different geography than the Dead Sea or Seattle. All of these big lines, what do you think those are? Those are mountains. And Seattle is right on where the Swiss Alps come through. They're a big mountain range that have tall, tall mountains that go through the whole country. This shows us that the elevation is so high. Right down here at the bottom, this is elevation. Elevation is how high above the ocean it is. So in Switzerland, how do you think the mountains make a difference to the people that are living there? Do you think they can just get in the car and drive anywhere and just drive straight through? No, because there's big mountains. Do you think it takes them a while to get places? Yeah. What else do mountains bring? Do we have mountains by us? What happens up high in the mountains? Right? It snows. The Alps bring so much snow to Switzerland, and people go there to ski, but also makes water. Once the snow melts, the water comes down into the valley. In Switzerland, they are known for how they dress. These are called lederhosen, and these are pictures of the traditional Switzerland dress from a long time ago, and some people still dress this way, but it's just kind of fun to see the mountains in the background and the tradition of the people that live in this sort of community. Also, let's see. We're going to go right into the mountains and see if we can see what it's really like. Can't you see how tall those are? Those are so tall. Wow, and look how green it is too. Let's flip this way. Can you see the water down there at the bottom? So this is when the snow melts. It'll come down here, down into these valleys. So does this look different than the Dead Sea and Seattle too? It's so high and there's so much water that I'm sure it affects how people live, right? And they have to get by on these roads. And look, these bridges that they've made. Well, it's amazing. Alright, so thanks for coming on our field trip with us. We got to explore lots of cool places. We went to the Middle East, over here, into Europe, and to the United States, and we discovered that geography really affects how people and communities survive and what they thrive off. We saw at the Dead Sea how it was dry and they used the salt to create an economy, and how in Seattle it was very wet and it rained a lot, and the rain was really important to the people there. But then in the Alps, the water melted from the snow, and people would go skiing in the mountains, and they dressed differently, and they had to drive around on really high bridges above the water so that they could get around. So, thanks for coming.